Welcome to the FBJ studios at the University of Hanky Pavilion. It's Flexin Friday, everybody, so get ready! Yeah! Alright, so it's December 20th and it's Friday afternoon here at the FBJ studios. We've got a lot of things to go over, and we're going to try to do it as quickly as possible, folks. It's Friday. I understand you don't really want to get tied up too long watching a blowhard like myself going on about fantasy and the NBA because, whatever, it's Friday. So let's just get right into it. The current score right now, I am ahead 51 points. Yay! How long is that going to last for? Not really sure. All we can do is just hope and pray to the basketball gods. We'll give you a quick breakdown of what happened last night as far as between myself, my team, and the guy I'm facing. The team I'm facing, MCW, the anti-tank missile. The score was 79-59. And we'll get into the breakdown of what happened. As you see, we already have some, we got some notes up here about last night. I want to briefly get into, and I say briefly, but it's probably going to turn into a little bit of a soliloquy. I hope it isn't. The essence of Pop. Gregg Popovich, the Spurs head coach, who has been their head coach throughout since 1996-97. You have to check me on that. Has been their head coach for a very long time. He's presided over the careers of Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and Tim Duncan. He is the reason, part of the reason why the NBA plays the way it does today. He's been very innovative with instituting international players such as Manu and Tony and Boris Diaw, and you can go on and on down the line, even to last night with Aaron Baines and from Australia and so on and so forth. He's a huge proponent of the international game, and he does so by instituting also European styles of play from Spain, from Lithuania, across Western and Eastern Europe. He blends that together into his own system of driving and kicking, and that's why they've been amongst leaders in offensive production, possessions per game, which amounts to how often you have the ball on the offensive end. So, I mean, he's responsible for that. And last night, what he did was, again, hat tip, Coach Pop. Again, pro Popovich move. What he did was he sat down the big three. We're talking about TP, Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, and Manu Ginobili, and instituted his own big three, the next big three up, the younger three, Kawhi Leonard, Patty Mills, and Boris Diaw, which, if you think about it, they are kind of similar. Patty Mills is your Tony Parker, Kawhi Leonard is your Manu Ginobili, and Boris Diaw is your Tim Duncan. Guys, I'm reaching, so don't anyone, do not no one. I don't want to hear any comments, anything about trying to compare those three. I'm just saying they're the next three up. If you put me on blast, I might have to put you back on blast because you don't come after genius. Yes, guys, I don't care. Come after me. It's probably be better for me. All right, enough of that. Hat tip to two really good friends of mine who are Spurs fans. My man F. Dot and Matty Ice, who have been teaching me about the essence of Pop, about Spurs basketball for the last half decade, and have really, as I've grown in the NBA game and learning to love it, I've become a bigger proponent of Spurs players, Spurs coaching. Our head coach comes from the Spurs family, Brett Brown. So obviously there are tons of elements that you can find useful from the essence of Pop. All right, so from a fantasy perspective, how it helped me, Boris Diaw had 12 fantasy points last night, and Patty Mills had 19 fantasy points last night. They were both allowed, because they had more minutes on the floor, and that's what it comes down to, productivity, and having the ball in your hands, and knowing who Pop likes to play when he starts resting his big guys. I mean, from a fantasy perspective, you have to be aware of rotations. It just comes down to that. And who they're playing against and why. And again, we said this yesterday about picking up Patty Mills. You have to be up on, you just have to be aware of who's resting and who's sitting and who might be hurt and who might not be hurt. Just got to be up on it, guys. I did we spoke about Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard was actually one of the guys that we played against yesterday, and he had a double double. And that within that double double, he scored 27 fantasy points. He 21 points, regulation points. Now we're talking about real points, not fantasy. We're giving you box score. 21 points on the night, 3 assists, 1 steal, 10 boards. He also was 8 of 14 from the floor and 4 of 7 from 3. So from the 4 of 7 from the floor. I'm sorry, and 1 3-pointer made. My apologies, reading the box score a little too fast. All right, so within that 27 fantasy points, he hasn't done anything like that since December 13th, several games ago, against the Minnesota Timberwolves, where he had 29 fantasy points. And on that note, let's just digress about the Timberwolves' lack of defense. Rick Adelman does not believe, head coach Rick Adelman doesn't preach defense. He preaches offensive flow. If you go up and down their lineup, there are tons of guys that don't play, that are not your prototypical lockdown defender. From Nikolai Pekovic, the starting center, he's a boards guy, but he's not a rim protector. Kevin Love, you should already know what he's about. I love Love, but he is not your Charles Oakley. Okay, let's just put it like that. And so, like I said, up and down. Corey Brewer is like is probably their best on-ball defender, and he does start. But and also they have Kevin Martin at the 2, who hasn't played D since he was playing YMCA ball at the age of 5. So there you have it. Minnesota doesn't play D. So if you have a guy going against Minnesota, chances are you should probably play them, because Minnesota, on a whole, is one of the worst defensive teams in the league. And we can actually give you the their actual defensive number here, their actual points allowed per game, which is not enough, but it is enough. If you're looking at it from a quick baseline level standpoint. 26 overall in points allowed per game at 102. That's kind of bad. It's really bad. That means there are 4 teams below them that let up more points per game. So just remember that. Really, 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 really cool stat from this morning that I saw. We talked about the 1 + 1 + 1 theory yesterday. It's not theory. It's just a stat. Presented by, again, John Cregan. Good stuff. 4 players in the NBA who have averaged 1 steal, 1 block, and 1 3 made per game. Josh Smith, Rudy Gay, Kevin Durant, and Wesley Johnson. I might have a third. Who's that? That man, Dirk. He actually is, he is 0.2 blocks per game away from becoming the 5th 1 steal, 1 block, 1 3 made a game player. That's pretty cool. I was just digging around looking at stats this morning, and that's what came up, and that's awesome. All right, so let's, real quick, KD was the bomb last night. I mean, the bomb. 30 of 20 from the floor, 4 of 5 from 3, 9 boards, 6 dimes, 3 steals, 1 block, 44 goddamn fantasy points. What more do you need from a guy? That's per ESPN scoring, guys. Ding. So I was kind of a jerk here. I said KD and Westbrook 107, Bulls 95. The Bulls hung around for as long as possible, but with about 7 minutes left in the 4th, they were up 15 and brought back both KD and Westbrook, and it was a wrap. Oh, the Bulls pulled within 12 at that point. I'm sorry, they pulled within 12. At the 7-minute mark, there was a timeout. KD and Westbrook came back in. Durant then hit 3 straight shots to boost the lead back up near 20, and that was it. So that's what you have there. And we did cover, we didn't give you the final score from the Golden State Spurs game. Spurs 104, Dubs 102. There's a tweet, and I feel sorry for this guy. He's an awesome player. He's an amazing player, one of the best point guards in the league, and the best pure shooter in the league, Stephen Curry, on his Twitter account last night, said, and I quote, "Bad, bad, bad." Yeah, if the team you're playing against, their top three starters are out and you lose them and you're at home on national television, bad, bad, bad. So, Steph, I'm sorry, man. Things happen. That's the league, man. And, you can only do so much. You played your hearts out, and that's the breaks. So, man, that's all for last night's games. We'll quickly get into Friday night tonight. I'm matched up with 7 players against his team. I have 7, so it could be 7-on-7. Ray Allen, who I picked up late last night, his stats for tonight's game, they play against the Sacramento Kings, could be in jeopardy. Same thing with Joe Johnson, who is playing here in Philadelphia tonight. He's more so likely to play. He'll probably play. Ray Allen, I'm not so sure. He was held out of the shoot-around this morning with general soreness. They're playing Sacramento. More than likely, they'll probably bench him, and I used my last matchup acquisition on him. So, not pleased about that. So I could be down 2 guys tonight, and that may hurt because I am up only 51 points, as you see the current score. So we'll see. Real quick, who to get for tonight? Sammy Dallenberg. He is back in the rotation of the Spurs big men. There's a lot of bigs. There's Dirk. There's Brandon Wright. There's DeJuan Blair. So he's amongst the trees, literally. Yeah, he did score 8 points and had 7 boards in his last game, 17 fantasy points. And he's playing, whoa. Boom goes the dynamite. Sorry. I had to stop throwing things at my camera woman. Vince Carter is also available tonight. Vince Carter is also available tonight. He's only owned in 10.4% of ESPN leagues. And his last 2 games, he scored 26 and 20 fantasy points. His last 2 games, he's only owned by 10.4% of teams. I said that already. I just want to make that a little bit more clear. They are home to Toronto tonight, the Raps. Shout out to the starters, NBA starters, formerly known as the name that I can't say up there in Toronto, but they are my guys. So hat tip to those guys. They are still big Raps fans. Jonas, good luck, Jonas. All right. I was proposed a really bad trade offer this morning. We'll close with this. It was Kevin Durant and Dirk for Tony Parker, Thaddeus Young, and Lance Stevenson. And we out.